listening to Fighting Game Follies.
It's the #1 podcast for low-level player opinions.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Round 1.
Hello to all my masters, grapplers, set play psychopaths, Wi-Fi warriors, old tours, tournament organizers, everybody. And when I mean everybody, I mean everybody in the entire FGC scope and spectrum, but specifically in the FGC scope and spectrum, and not any of them e-boys, them esports e-boys and anything else, right? Because we are strictly, and I mean strictly and purely, the fighting game community. What's going on? It's your boy, Griefer Games. I'm only going by Griefer Games this time because that's what it says on my badge. What badge? Well, I'd like to inform you because your boy, I got the chance to go out to Evo, I think last week. Yeah, it would have been last week by this time. I would have had this out like way sooner, but I come back and then I immediately get swamped with stuff to do, so it ain't that fun. But oh well, your boy back. We back at it again. We back in a chair. We coming back talking about Evo. We talking about the Evo Experience, which is what I'm going to be naming this title, or I'm going to be naming today's episode, this week's episode of the Fighting Game Follies. It's the Evo Experience. I don't even know what episode number we on. All that matters is that I sit down and I talk about the wonderful experience that I had over at this major, my first major actually. It was the first major that I've been to, and I'm really glad that something as prestigious as this got to be my first major. Granted, I didn't get to experience the entire thing in its full entirety, but we'll talk about that more as the episode unravels. So, as always say, sit back, relax. If you're doing homework, you're doing any kind of work, but whatever the answer is, go follow your heart. Whatever you think the answer is, that's most likely what it's going to be. The simplest answer is the best answer, except for when it is wake up EXDP, because that is not always the answer. But let's just get on to it, right? Let's get on to it. Real quick, pulling back the veil a tiny bit. Initially I was going to upload this a few days earlier, or rather I was going to start recording this a few days earlier, but it took me a while to figure out how I wanted to break down the entire episode and what angle I sort of wanted to bring it at, because obviously with the amount of stuff that we have to talk about, I could have gone just by what I initially thought, talk about all the releases and then all the other things. I had ways that we could have potentially gone about in terms of talking about the entire event and everything. So I eventually settled on just doing it in the day-by-day basis. So obviously Evo is a 3-day event. I'm gonna just I have 3 segments on this podcast. I'm just gonna talk about all 3 days for each of the segments, go about what I did, what I my thought process, what I was doing, what I experienced, all of that stuff. So once again, I think I should probably stop stalling and start talk about just what the Evo experience, and what started off with what I did day 1. So before I even start on day 1, I should probably give a bit of context and some day 0 context. So the day that I go to Evo, right, or the day that it's supposed to be there, because it starts August 4th and it ends August 6th, right? I take my plane right there. I live in New York. Thing is, it happens over in Vegas. So I go get a flight, obviously, and I'm going there with one of my family members. I'm going with my sister. My sister, she recently got some leg stuff done. I don't want to spill all of her stuff, but basically she's not in the best of spots to be moving around and about or be on grounds or everything. So I'm just putting that little seedlet out there, and we're gonna wait for that to blossom when I eventually bring it back up. But day 0. With that context and everything that you guys have now, and day 0, stuff, plane ride sucked. I don't necessarily hate flying per se. It's just that if I'm not flying with a specific airline, or I'm not flying with a specific group of people, 9 times out of 9, I'm not going to really enjoy the flying experience, especially since just flying over to Vegas, because little another tidbit nugget fact, I do have family that live in Vegas, so I tend to go visit them more often than not whenever I get the chance to. So I'm very accustomed to flying over there. I'm very accustomed with the area itself. It's sort of like a second home to me. But I always hate the flight there. It's like a 5 hour flight, 4 to 5 hour flight. I just don't like it because I most of the time that I go over there, I usually only bring like small electronic stuff because obviously I'm not trying to like have TSA mistake anything that I bring for like a bomb or something like crazy, which was like probably one of the, or that's like one of the things that I was like super worried about when I was initially bringing my stick onto the plane. And because I didn't like, just overall, like the issue with the stick that I had, like first and foremost, was because I was only bringing like a small little carry-on, like a book bag. I had to cram my stick into the bag on top of all of my clothes, and then when they had to, like, they asked me to take it out, so they can do like the scan and everything. I had to take that out. It was just a hassle, dude. Like that's probably one of the things that I like really hated because I had to do that twice. Granted, it was a small thing, but like those small things, like those small little instances will eventually add up, especially if like I decide to go out and like do more traveling. Then that's a reoccurring thing that I have to do, unless I get a suitcase and everything and not just like cram all of my garbage into my book bag. But whatever, we'll talk about that more when I eventually go to like another major, and then I can give or I have more experience like flying, so I can come back with like tips and tricks, or at least flying in terms of like going for a major or everything. But we go there, hit the flight, the flight goes off. We don't end up in Vegas till like 12, and then on top of that, the hotel that we're staying at, because it's a hotel that we're like relative, or not even relatively, it's like we're accustomed to. We go there, it's like a good like 10-15 minutes away from the venue. Nothing crazy. We end up going there, or we end up like getting there at around like 1, like 12 1 a.m. ish. So already we're starting to bleed into day one, which for veteran like FGC heads, like for veteran like convention goers, I'm making a lot of mistakes here, right? Like just off the jump, I'm making a lot of mistakes here. Cause what the plan should have been was I show up like maybe a day or two earlier, go get my badge on like day zero. That way I could have skipped the lines, right? I could have skipped the day one lines. We'll talk about the day one lines eventually, or actually no, we'll talk about the day one lines in a second. But big thing I should have done, and big thing I'm going to like keep in the back of my head for like the next time that I go out and like go to a major or just like a convention in general. Try and see if I can get there like a few days earlier. That way I'm not one jet lagged because I got there at like 12 to 1 a.m. I had to wake up at 8. Like, thankfully I'm still super young, so like only sleeping for like 5-6 hours, nothing insane. Plus I got like a decent amount of sleep on the plane too. So I wasn't like you know dying or anything. Like, it's not like I couldn't move or I was like completely like slumped over for a majority of the thing. But just getting a full night's rest so that I could have like physically and like just mentally prepared myself to like experience like the magic that is Evo. It would have been nice, but it's whatever, things happen. So you go there, and this is when day one actually starts. Day one, like thoughts. I just have like a checklist, or not a checklist, but rather I have like a bunch of bullet points and stuff that I like sort of want to talk about here, and then I'm gonna just most likely ramble on from those. So, giving my initial thoughts on the venue. I thought the place, like, first off, if you don't know the Mandalay Bay Convention Center is huge. It's a like super large convention center, and then like literally right next to it, it also has a hotel. That's more often than not why like big conventions or like just big events in general will like book out that and the hotel on top of it. Like, they do deals because that way you can guarantee that like when people go there, they're gonna be like, oh, I need a room. Boom, it's literally right there. Everything's on ground, which is a very like smart thing. I screwed up because I wanted to be smart, funny, and quirky, and just be like, oh, I'm gonna stay with the family that I have up there, and then just like drive over to the venue every 30 minutes. Because no, that was a very dumb mistake. So I'm imparting my knowledge onto you, right? I'm imparting, dear viewer, dear listener, I'm imparting my knowledge. One, whenever you go to a convention, try and go like a day or two earlier, especially if you're flying, go like a day or two earlier than when the convention actually starts. That way you can get your badge on day 0 and you don't have to go through like the lines for day 1. And 2, if you can, try and book a hotel room that is as close to the grounds as possible. Thankfully, I wasn't doing anything crazy. Like I wasn't competing in anything, or I wasn't like competing in anything. I wasn't cosplaying anything. All I had was my stock Kwamba, my book bags to carry all of the merch that I buy, and that's it. And then we're off. So thankfully, I didn't have to go through any like crazy, wacky, pre like con get spotted in like a non-convention area with like full cosplay on. So yeah, but the two big things that you want to do right there: try and get there early, and try and get a hotel as close as possible. But back to what I was saying on the venue. The venue space is amazing. It's huge. It was very nice, and it was also at the same time very like crowded, but crowded in a sort of good way. And I don't really know like the best way that I can like word it or explain it, but it's sort of like the feeling that a character in a movie would have, like when they first go to like New York City and they're overwhelmed and like overjoyed by like how busy and crowded everything is. It just sort of all feels like everything fits into place, which I know I'm not explaining it in the best way possible, but that feeling right there, that like feeling of like being in the collective of like this like whole group of just people who all came together for like a specific thing. It's a very nice feeling to have, and it's like that same crowded feeling that like I really did enjoy it. I liked it a lot. I thought it was good. Venue space was clean, spacious. It was very like nice to look at. Lighting and everything, like very solid. Like these guys have been doing it for 25 years. They know a thing or two about running a large scale convention. So I gotta give them props because they did a really good job. But the venue was amazing. I could walk that spot for hours, and I did in fact walk it for hours because I was there for a majority of the day for both days 1 and 2. So I got my steps in. I was moving like a madman. I got my steps in. I was walking like all the way down from the main stage area to where they had all of the pools and whatnot, back down to friendlies, and I would just do that over and over again. Like people thought I was weird because I was just taking in the scenes, and I just wanted to experience everything. I just thought it was really good. And as I was walking down there, right, ran into a couple top players, some small little celebrities. If I, or actually no, not if I do, but when my Evo video eventually comes out, like on YouTube, I'll probably go like a tiny bit more in depth into, like I'll show like pictures and everything. I'll show the like my hauls and whatnot. Like it'll be more presentable because this is just me sort of like rambling, throwing the plate of spaghetti out, and then like just seeing how the crowd reacts to it. I'm probably just gonna have like all of the pictures and everything that I took up there. If I haven't already like tweeted it out somewhere, or like I haven't like shown it off somewhere on social media, but I did get a lot of pictures with a bunch of top players. Some like micro celebrities that I really did want to run into. Unfortunately, I didn't get them with everybody that I wanted to see, but that makes sense. I couldn't be everywhere all at once, like, and neither could they. What all of the top players again, really, I appreciate you guys so much for like taking pictures, like, cause at the end of the day, they are still just like people who are just better at video games, and I know that like idolization can be very weird. Like, I can't really speak on it myself. I'm just speaking on it from like an outsider looking in. I can see how that sort of idolization can be like very weird and unsettling because it's like, oh, I just like playing video games and doing what I do, and then you have like 100 or like 200 people come up to you, ask for a picture, or like get your opinion on something. Like, they're most often than not like probably accustomed to it because these guys have been doing it for a while, and yeah, but still, I just like I know it takes a lot of mental fortitude, and especially with like the more these events grow and everything, and the more that like their influence sort of stays onto the community, like the more and more of those like groups of like 100 to 200 people like a picture, it's gonna grow, and I want to be there to see it grow, like because it's sort of nice. Just some like standouts that I did get, or like standout people that I did and like get a picture with. Just to name off the top of my head, and like if this is not me throwing shade to anyone at all, it's been like around a week, and it's been around like a week. I can't really remember off the top of my head like who I took pictures with. It's just sort of like um instances that I remember either seeing or taking a picture with them. So yeah. First one, Kizzy K, like Kizzy, my boy, my anime fighters. Mostly plays like Shotos and everything. Kizzy, I know that he's on his SF grind right now, so shout out to him. Got a picture with him. He was really cool. It's always nice seeing, as like a black African American male, it is always nice seeing, my fellow brothers, doing their thing in the FGC, which is like very nice, especially because like, that sort of unity and bond is like what initially drew me into the FGC in like general. So it's always nice seeing people that look like me do well and make you think like, oh hey, maybe I can do just as good as them. Like, and I like truly know that there aren't any barriers in the FGC at all. So yeah, shout out to Kizzy. Kizzy is cool. I like him a lot. Obviously, I didn't really get to speak with anybody per se, but like just the small little interactions of like just taking pictures with them and everything is always like really sick. Um, Another like I don't know, melanated brother, I guess I'd say. C4. C4 is another really cool dude. Funny story about when I took the picture with him. I was buying a Persona 5 snapback from what I'm trying to remember where. Yeah. Okay, I was over at the 86th booth, and I was buying a Persona 5 snapback, right? And like a couple other things. And he was talking with someone, and I was like, huh, that guy looks familiar. And then I'm like, whatever, it'll come back to me later. Do a double take, nothing comes to me. Do a triple take. He notices I do the triple take, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Come back and then do a quad take, and then it finally hits me. Cause earlier I was watching him and I forget the name of the other dude who was commentating. I think they were commentating Gear earlier. It's escaping me right now. But I saw him commentate something, and then I was like, oh, that's who it is. And then it was like, oh, you're C4. Went through the whole like thing, like, oh yeah, I'm C4. Like, da, 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 can I get a picture? And I was trying to rush to buy the hat. So yeah, C4 was cool. Thank you for not being weirded out by me taking like looking you down 4 separate times as I'm trying to buy this hat and then still deciding to take the picture with me. So yeah, that's nice. Um let's see another one. Oh, another really good picture I got Meta RD. Meta RD was cool. I like Meta a lot. I just saw him like as I was passing through the event hall and everything. So yeah, Meta was I like Meta a lot, dude. Like I haven't been super big on like the Street Fighter scene. For those who know, I'm very much more accustomed to like anime fighters and everything. So yeah, I was more, or I'm not really into like the SF scene, but doing like a tiny bit of a background record. I started becoming a fan of like Meta when he won CEO, which like wasn't all too long ago, and like fighting game like in terms of majors, that wasn't like too long ago. I think that was like only 2 or 3 months from now, but still, seeing Meta was really cool, and it's also like I said earlier about like with Kizzy K, it's always nice seeing people of like differing backgrounds and everything come into the FGC and do well and sort of like represent and like their people, which is always nice. Like shout out to the Pakistani community as well for Arslan Ash. No real reason other than the fact of just like the Pakistan community in Arsalan Ash are like cool, and they also do the same thing that I like just said with Kizzy K and Mena RD. I didn't get to see Arsalan personally, but still whatever. Arsalan's cool. I would like to eventually like get a picture of them or something. Um, I'm there. I know that there are more. Like for example, oh yeah, Tempest NYC. I got a picture with both Tempest and Punk. I got pictures with. Tempest. The funny thing, the thing that I find like hilarious about taking a picture with Tempest and Punk is like, and this is going to sound very very weird when I word it, but I promise you have to like let me cook. Let me cook for this entire statement, right? um if you take me, right, like let's say I'm like a Pokemon, right? Let's say I'm Eevee, right? You take me, like a standard normal Eevee. I feel like I am essentially like the base evolution to Tempest and Punk, and like the two of them are just like different routes I could potentially go on. Cause like you look at Punk, you look at Tempest, you look at me, and then it's like relatively like dark skinned dudes, all glasses. Like both me and Tempest got the mini fro going on, the default mini fro with dudes with glasses. Punk got braids, and I did have braids when I was like super younger, so like there's the connection there. And obviously we all play fighting games, and like so yeah. But I just think it's funny because like when I was talking to my friends about it, and they mentioned it, and then I was like, nah, you're joking. And then like an hour later, I see the two of them again, and I'm like, no way, they're actually kind of right. So yeah, shout out Tempest, shout out Punk. Both of them are really cool guys. I've been watching Punk for a minute, if I'm not mistaken. And then Tempest, I just recently like started getting more um accustomed to seeing. I not like accustomed isn't the word, but I've gotten more used to seeing Tempest around. Like I've Tempest is like one of the dudes who you don't know he's there, or at least for me, like watching top eights and everything, and like watching high level like Guilty Gear and everything. Tempest is like one of those players where like you don't know he's there, but you hear his name so often, but like you don't have anything to like pull the face to, if that makes sense. Like I'm sort of rambling on this, but like I've heard of like Tempest a lot, and then it's like, oh, okay, cool. He's like, he's there, and this was like my first time actually seeing him, and then like going back, and it's like, oh, he was in blank, he was in this, he was here, he was here. It's like, oh, he has a track record. So yeah, that's just one of the things I've like just recently picked up on and started noticing. So yeah, shout outs to oh yeah, oh whoa 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 whoa, biggest one. How could I have forgotten the biggest and most important picture I could have potentially had? I got right, and this is gonna sound crazy for like for those who know, right, who are like really into the FGC like that. I got a picture with Daigo Umehara, which is insane because my scrub ass should not have been anywhere near. That's like, dude. Okay, I'm going to try and put into perspective how crazy like a picture like that is. Me getting a picture with Daigo is as insane, or like that's like the fighting game equivalent of me getting a picture with LeBron James, which uh, I might be that might be like a wild take for like some people, but that's what it sort of feels like. Cause like Daigo is the reason I got into fighting games specifically. He is the reason I got into fighting games, just like a lot of other people, like back in my day, I guess. Like that man, him and Justin, they inspired a whole generation of fighting game players. Like that is probably the most like penultimate meet your hero I could have possibly ever like seen. The only downside is like I did initially, and I'll like talk about this a tiny bit more when I start going through like all of the other stuff, and I'd like actually talk about something other than the venue. But the only downside, or I guess like two downsides, was one, I did want to, cause I brought a copy of The Will to Keep on Winning, which is also a book written by Daigo, which basically goes over his philosophy on how to get better at games and like is sort of like a autobiography in some aspects as well. But I wanted to get that book signed because having something signed by him would be like it'd be very nice and like as being essentially like the gamer's handbook for getting better at fighting games, like having a signed copy of that would be nice. But uh at the time, because like when I went over to buy it, the dude at the hitbox thing was like, oh, Daigo's gonna be here at like 1:30, I think he said. It was either 1 o'clock or 1:30. So then I was like, okay, cool. I go there. I'm there. I stop by at like 1:15 to see if he's there. I'm like, oh, he's not there. All right, fine. Come back at I think like 1:40 ish, and then he's still not there. So I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. If that's not the case, then I guess like I'll catch him whenever. So I go on the line to go try out Project L, and I'm just because the lines are long. I'm scrolling through Twitter, and then I see like on my For You page 2 minutes ago, someone gets a picture with Daigo at the hitbox station, and I'm knee deep. I'm already like halfway through the line, and I'm crying, bro, because I really wanted to get like the Will to Keep on Winning signed, but I was already knee deep into it, and I really didn't want to wait in the line again. So I was like, I was stuck between a rock and a hard place. So I was like, what, I'm gonna bite the bullet here. I'm gonna just wait out the line, play Project L, and then hopefully I see him later or something. Thankfully though, I did go back and obviously I got the picture with him, but I caught him like on the tail end of him leaving, so which kind of blows because like as soon as I got my picture, like three other people came up and asked him for a picture. So I really hope I didn't like accidentally like leave him be and like stop him from doing something super important, because if I did, that would like absolutely suck, and I don't want to. He's probably not gonna remember me, but like I really don't want to have, like, if he does somehow remember it, like that's what he remembers me for, being the guy that held him up and like he had to take pictures with. But I don't know, man. I just don't want to. I don't want to be disrespectful to the man that like essentially got me to where I am right now. If that makes sense, like it does make sense. But like you guys know what I mean, bro. I just don't want to be disrespectful. So yeah, I probably have like other pictures. Like I said earlier, if I haven't already posted them on social media, I'm gonna have a YouTube video of like where I talk more, or I'm probably just gonna have a YouTube video where I talk and then just like have all of my stuff up, and then I like show you guys all the things that I did, all the merch that I bought and everything and whatnot. But we'll talk about that like later on. Now that entire thing was just talking about the venue. We still have a lot to go through, right? Such as Tekken 8, because Tekken 8 was like the first thing that I noticed whilst I was over at the venue, because it was like a very big line. So yeah, um, Tekken 8, I can't really say anything outside of the fact that like it plays like Tekken, and for those who don't know, I don't know how to play Tekken. Legacy skill is most definitely gonna be needed. So I'm gonna try and learn like Tekken 7 to prep up for that, and then hopefully like get myself ready for Tekken 8 whenever that launches. What's funny about Tekken is, and also what's gonna be like sort of funny and what leads us into like the next thing that I talk about, is that whilst I was waiting on the line for Tekken, the lady comes up to us. She's like, "Oh, do you have a partner?" I'm like, "Obviously no. I'm there by myself." So she's like, "All right, cool. You guys are gonna be partners. You're gonna be playing up against each other. All right, fine, whatever, sure." There was a dude in front of me, right? He's waiting for one of his friends, and he doesn't have like his boys don't show up. So he's like, "Ah, rats, whatever." The other two guys in front of him, they have partners. So I'm like, uh, damn. And he basically asked me, "Yo, do you have a partner?" I'm like, "Yo, is it cool if I go salt with him?" He's like, "Yeah, sure." Boom. Me and this guy were partners. I think his name was like David or something. David was cool. So we're talking, we're chilling, talking about the fighting games that we play, talking about like what we think about like Tekken, everything that's been showed off, and he shows me something that like I'm gonna get into in a tiny bit, but The cool thing about this is like as we're sitting there waiting online, we tell the lady like, "Yo, we're both gonna be playing stick, yada yada yada," and we're like, "All right, cool." Wait, like probably like 1 or 2 minutes, and then she's like, "All right, you guys are going up on the main stage," and I was not I was not prepared to go on the main stage for a game that I barely play. So yeah, I was not ready for that at all. Me and bro were up there. We're like both flabbergasted. We're like, oh wait, main stage, and she's like, yeah, main stage. You guys can just go up because they're done. Which, yeah, I seriously was not ready for that. I have like a tiny bit of pictures and videos from that. I didn't get the chance to get anything like crazy insane from it. Which kind of blows because I would have loved to get like really bad footage of me like losing horribly at Tekken because when I say I cannot play Tekken, I cannot play Tekken. Like that's one of the games where like I really want to get into, but I like my brain just refuses to like play or it just refuses to understand the Tekken system. So yeah, we played Tekken up on the main stage. That was cool. But what else is cool? This so was this. Whoa. The other thing that was really cool is this segue because earlier, as I like forementioned, like literally 2 minutes ago, as me before me and David went to go play up on the main stage for Tekken, right? Brody is scrolling through Twitter, and then he like he's freaking out, and then I'm like, yo, what's up? And then he's like, new units drop, baby. We are so up. We are so. Oh my god, we are so up. The Hollow Knight shall forever live on. A bunch of new stuff dropped. So many new things happened. Eunice is up. Funny enough, literally right next to us, I didn't even realize it, but a line was forming for a build for the new Eunice game at Evo, and I didn't even notice it. I didn't even see it. I passed the guilty because it was just all Guilty Gear stuff. Like Arxis had their booth up and everything, and it was all Guilty Gear. So I'm like, oh okay, it's just Gear. It's nothing crazy. I don't really care about it. I play Gear. I can play Gear when I get home, unless they got something to drop, which they probably aren't dropping on day one. And then they drop Eunice day one. They drop System Celeste, dude. I don't know if you guys remember, but when I initially covered the Korean leak for Systems or for Sister Celeste or like System Celeste, whatever it's called, Sis Celeste to drop when I initially covered that Korean leak, you guys know how hyped I was for Uni. I'm a very big like Uni fan. I like the lore, I like the characters, I like the gameplay. I just because of the fact that like I barely have anybody to play it with, I don't really get the chance to like play it. So it's like one of those games that like, oh yeah, I like it a lot. I like playing it, but I never have the chance to like actually play it. It's sort of like how Persona fans are like major fans of the series, but they have never touched an actual Persona game until like just recently because everything is getting ported onto everything. But dude, System Celeste is going to most definitely be like the game that I'm going to like try and play. I'm gonna grind this game out like crazy because like now that I can actually start playing Eunice on the same footing as like everybody else, I'm very much happy for that. And there's a lot of things happening. There's new system mechanics. Everybody's getting a role. New characters, like another character from the Lick Price. I think there's another dude from like the school that they go to. It's all characters that were already shown off and stuff. And then we also got Kurion, however you pronounce Blood's name, Kuon. I'm super excited for that. I don't know why, but I saw it and then I was like, wait, Gordeau, what is he doing? And then it immediately clicked to me that that is not Gordeau. Um, so yeah, Kuron's coming. The other two characters are coming. Their names I don't even remember. I don't even really care all that much. We got a lot of new stuff for Uni, so I'm very much like excited for that. My only big gripe about Eunice, and I will like sort of get a tiny bit more into this like in a second, is the UI. The UI, and I guess I'll also talk about like UI and music as well, like a roll in one, because as I went to go play the build for Uni, I sat online for the ArcSys thing. I go play the build with someone. I'm like, all right, cool. This is solid. lose again. So keep in mind, this is the second time, this is the second game that I've like lost in. So I play Uni. I'm like, oh, this is really good. This is real. It feels like Eunice. I haven't touched like Eunice in a while, but like it feels like Eunice. I like playing Eunice. This is a fun game, right? I play it. I'm like, all right, sweet. Didn't really get the chance to like really go in depth with everything that I like wanted to. But oh well. So I play the build, and then I sit down, right? I get like escorted off of the thing, and then I sit down because there's just an empty area, and I was thinking it was gonna be something Guilty Gear related because I see like a Be Right Back screen, Arxis with like Soul and Kai on it, so I'm like, oh, it's probably something Guilty Gear related. So I'm like, I go and ask the dude who's like, I just ask another person who's like sitting down. I'm like, yo, is this like for the Guilty Gear thing? And then I'm guessing he didn't hear me say the Guilty Gear thing because he's like, oh yeah, sure. This is yeah. This is you're in the right spot for the Under Night in Birth like King of the Hill thing. So I essentially get drafted into play like a King of the Hill like game on Arxis official stream. So dog, everything we're just up. We keep everything is still escalating, right? So keep in mind, right? Just like keep in track. Despite losing all of the games that I've like been in so far. So that's Tekken and Eunice because I have never really played a Tekken game like that and I haven't touched Eunice in like forever. So I had to relearn the entire game. And on top of that, I tried playing it on stick, which I've never done before. I played Uni on pad and I didn't have a pad available on me, so I just didn't even know how I was going to wire my buttons and everything. But I had to I play Uni on stick, and then I'm like, all right, cool. So I'm on main stage twice by this point. I'm on the main stage for Tekken 8, and then I'm on the main stage or I guess like the main stream for Arxis, right? And the dude, like, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I did not expect to get drafted into this. I do it with another dude who was really cool. He was a nice, Nanase. Whoa, he's a Nanase player. I play him. I play phone on. One game get washed. I play hide another game get washed. But yeah, it was very. Art's very good. Everything about it's really good. My only like gripe is like the UI and the music because Ratio, the composer, or Ratio, however you pronounce his name, apparently he recomposed everything and basically like modernized it now. So like effectively like going like getting rid of all of the other stuff from like the older games, which kind of blows because I would have rather liked if they did like a Blaze Blue sort of approach with it. So for example, they have I think it's Snow Sisters. It's either Snow Sisters or whatever Eltum's theme is. Actually, let me like really quickly look this up right now. Um, Eltum theme. What is this called? Eunice. Blood Drain again, right? So they have Blood Drain again, and then they have another version of Blood Drain again, which sounds like it belongs in a Mega Man game, which I was once again not expecting. But it didn't even matter because on stream I didn't even hear it, because they didn't like we didn't have any headphones or anything with like Game Sense, which like kind of blew. It makes sense though because as the guy was explaining it and as we were going up, he was like, "Oh, stream can hear you guys," and then like somebody like out the corner of my eye, I see someone like flag him down like, "No, no, they do not get microphones," and I'm like, "Okay, yeah, that makes sense." That because I know. Don't worry, bro. So yeah, that was going up on the main stage or like on the main Arxis stream for Eunice was very cool, especially since like I like when I went back to my hotel and I was like going through all of the things. My main goal was to try and find like where I was on the stream, and then I just see like out the corner someone clipped it, made a meme, and then I'm like, oh, that's my garbage phone I'm playing right there. You can see me in the corner with my Ramathal shirt on. So yeah, that was very cool. Under Night in Birth was good. I'm going to try and grind a bit of like Eunice right now to try and see if I can like get back into the swing of things. Reeling it back a tiny bit, talking about Project L because I was in the line for that before I like went to go take my picture with Daigo. Project L, gameplay's good. I saw it when I like came in before I like stood online for the Tekken 8 stuff. I went to go watch Lord Knight playing it with like a couple developers, I think. I don't know who the other people that he was playing with was. I just know I saw Lord Knight. I saw them distinguished gray hairs in the patch, looking like somebody father, with all that experience on the board. I see Lord Knight, and then I'm like, all right, oh, hey, cool. I'm gonna go check this out later. I played Project L. Project L so far, like, I can't really say anything crazy about it. I think it's good so far. I like the movement. I like the combat. I like things. I like the game so far. I do, however, need more time with it because as we were playing it, I was playing it with, another group of four or like three other people. So because they were trying to like get as many people as they're possible, and to do that, obviously they do like the co-op thing, which is a very big thing that they want to show off the fact that you can actually play co-op, which I think is a really cool concept. I think it is really funny. But my whole thing is like playing it with co-op. I didn't really get the chance to like try and experience it and learn the system myself because I had to like constantly be wary of the other person who also had access of like swapping themselves in or like tag bursting themselves in, etc., etc. There were like solo cabinets that were over at the arcade section that I could have gotten a chance to play, but like the lines for those were like insanely long. So I didn't really get the chance to like play Project L like that. But out of the tiny bits that I did in fact get to play, I do like I like what I played. I'm still for just early predictions right now. I'm most definitely going to be playing Echo, and then I'm probably going to be. I don't know who I want to have as like my secondary yet. For right now, just like for a safe basic answer, I'll probably play like Echo and Yasuo because, oh yeah, newsflash, Yasuo also got announced for a character in the game. I don't really know who else I would like to see. Maybe, and this is only because like I've seen Arcane. Maybe we get like someone like Vi into the game or like the Wolf dude. I don't know his name. I've never played League, so like I'm thankful to say that I'm like mentally stable like and I've never played League. So I don't really know any like characters like that. But maybe we get the Wolf guy. Maybe we get Vi's like sort of brawler archetypes like the one fish lady that they showed off eventually, because I know it's like her, Jinx, Echo, Darius, Aria or Ari, however you pronounce her name, and then Yasuo right now, which is like 6 characters. So far we have like 2 teams basically set up. Um, Jinx has been in the oven for a while, which I'm kind of surprised about because I was really expecting to see her in this build. If there was like I was expecting her to be a build at Evo, and I was very much expecting her to be in the build. So I'm kind of surprised that she wasn't. But Yasuo, like an entirely new character that we didn't even know was going to be in the game, was. So that was very surprising. But yeah, Yasuo on the build, cool. Echo on the build. I'm probably gonna be playing those two until like another character comes strikes my fancy. I don't remember. This might be just me like blowing like hot air, but if I remember correctly, I think remember seeing something that like there were gonna be like 18 to 20 characters in the base roster, and then there was gonna be DLC. I don't know if that's real or not. If it is, somebody can fact check me on it. If it's not, then it's just a baseless rumor, and we'll just leave it at that. But my main thing about like Project L, like I said earlier, I think it plays really well. My only gripe is the fact that it sort of forces players to have to use the like special buttons and not like actual inputs, which I'm very much accustomed to inputs more than like buttons, obviously, because that's what I've been honing my skills doing for the longest time. I understand the reason as to why they're going in this direction, as say with how the game's engine and everything is built right now, if you put special inputs like the traditional special inputs into it, you basically get a Marvel clone. Because the movement is very Marvel inspired, the tag combos and systems, they're not necessarily Marvel inspired per se, but they are Marvel adjacent inspired because it feels like things similar to Battle for the Grid or Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle or like Dragon Ball Fighters, but like obviously less turned down, less anime. So I understand the reason as to why they're going the only simple inputs method. but I would have also liked if there was something to sort of, I guess, like make it to where I can blend both of them. Sort of like how modern controls, for example, in Street Fighter 6, you can still do some inputs on modern controls, but if you use the actual like modern control itself, so let's say I do a fireball, quarter circle forward, a Hadouken, right? If I do like the one button version for the Hadouken, I get a 20% damage reduction, but if I do like the special input, there's no damage reduction. Or how Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, it has something similar, where its thing, like all of its special moves are on cooldowns. If you use the special, like the easy version of the move, then like the cooldown's longer. If you use the actual input, then the cooldown is like drastically shorter. Which, if I'm not mistaken, I think that's something that they're also bringing back here in Grand Blue Fantasy Versus as well. But yeah, I just would have liked to have something to sort of ease me into actually like playing on just simple inputs, because I was trying to do things, I was trying to super, I was trying to link stuff together, I was trying to do like some wacky stuff on top of me like learning a entirely new game system, which I did not like fare in. So I lost in that as well. Everybody keeping track? That's 3 games that I've lost so far. I'm 0 and 3. But yeah, so far Project L was good. If you want something to grind in order to get yourself ready, like I said earlier, I would suggest grinding BB Tag and Battle for the Grid in order to start prepping up for that. BB Tag especially because it has a very similar handshake tag mechanic where if you're mid combo, then you can like swap somebody in. And also, a lot of people were like making comparisons to like some clips of people getting sandwiched between things with like the double fuse system and how you can swap back and forth from your character. And then people were like, "Oh my God, it's like BB tag all over again." So yeah, top level BB tag players, rejoice. We might be out the trenches. Moving ahead a tiny bit, just talking about Mortal Kombat 1. Let's now talk about Mortal Kombat 1 because I couldn't find time to play Mortal Kombat 1 and I did not want to sit on that line. I am playing it to prep for anything. I don't like Mortal Kombat. My main issue with the series is the fact of like because it's so hyper, not necessarily hyper fixated on being like the gory, edgy like child of the big three in terms of fighting games. It's just that, respectfully speaking, I don't want to have to like play that in order to experience the game, which is something that I really don't want to do like ever, and I'm just not a fan of it. Like I'm sort of turned off. Like I don't know how to word it, but it's not. I'm above it, basically. Like especially as since that Mortal Kombat's main gimmick, especially like back in the '90s, was the fact of like it was so gory. So like just being exposed to that for like so long, I'm just not a fan. I really don't care about it. The only like good thing that Mortal Kombat really has going for it is the fact that like I because it's such a casual friendly thing and like a majority of like my older family they know Mortal Kombat and they like still know that like oh hey you saw the new Mortal Kombat game coming out. It's like they know I'm a I guess FGC tuber or like I'm very uh involved in the fighting game community. So it's like, oh, did you see the new Mortal Kombat is out? I can't wait to play Scorpion. And it's like, yeah, yeah, that's right, Unk. Good job. Your Scorpion's gonna cook. Meanwhile, I have to sit there and like explain to him like frame data and everything and like what they're changing, like the systems, like who's getting introduced and yada yada yada. Um, so yeah, I ain't touching Mortal Kombat. I don't want to touch Mortal Kombat. It's unbecoming of me. I'm above it. If you have an issue with that, don't care. I'm just not really a fan on Mortal Kombat. I ain't touching that like anytime soon. And just really quickly to wrap things up, thoughts on smaller games. Project Bravery. I know that game was in the oven for a tiny bit. I got to try it out a tiny bit. Not really my cup of tea either. Like, I can see why it was good. It probably wasn't my cup of tea more because like I saw it was like oh that's kind of interesting and then didn't really like have any context behind it at all. I was just, oh, it's like a small little indie fighting game. I'll try this out. Saw it, played it for a tiny bit, played it against a CPU. I didn't play it against a person. I was like, all right, this is fine. And then I just sort of like walked away because it just wasn't. I was not feeling it. Like Pocket Bravery was like, or you thought I was feeling you, and I was like, nah, it's not that good. Or at least in my opinion, it's not that good. Depending on like how long it takes to come out, I might come back and try it out again. That's highly unlikely though. The chess fighting game, which was like literally three stations down from that. A lot of people were really interested in that. And I think I might be like jumping the gun a tiny bit and talking about this now because I did have an episode planned where I wanted to talk about like unconventional fighting games or like fighting games that are like super interesting or like just way out there that like they needed to be talked about. I don't think I talked about the chess fighting game yet, so if this is the first introduction to it, then oh well. But this is actually one of the games that I was like super interested in when it initially got announced because this was also around the time that like the chess community and everybody was like still really big on like chess. So it was like, oh, okay, cool. You mix together chess, you mix together fighting games. Like, let's see how it actually plays. And it actually didn't play half bad. I saw like gameplay of it. I didn't get the chance to play it myself, sadly, but I stuck around as like the dude was talking about it and everything, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I can see the philosophy behind this. It's really interesting. I really like this a lot. There's also another like card-based fighting game that was made by like a board game making company that like sort of took out the fighting game part of fighting games. It was all sort of like thinking and everything. It was like a Chinese art style based like thing similar to Yomi Hustle, I would say, but like with way less detail. Like Yomi Hustle allows you to control every minute like little like move of your character. This was like sort of put down a card in like a specific order. That order plays out, and then boom. It was like a round based thing. I think like the way that the clerk told it to me was like, or the way that like I like sort of internalized it as like a economy based like card based fighting game, which was like when you say those like words in that order in that sentence out loud, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but like the longer I started playing it, it makes sense. It honestly it wasn't half bad. It's like that. I feel like that's something I would play for like a more like chill stream if I just wanted to like chill out after like working or like whatever, or I just wanted to like wind down and not do anything like super crazy. But that was good. Those were all of the games that I really wanted to like try out and see. Um, like I, that's all I can really say about like day one. There were like other things that I did do like day one, but it was mostly just like watching venues, buying a tiny bit of stuff. Taking more pictures of top players. Like I did go to see the Crunchyroll thing, which like that's one thing that I guess I'll like talk about in this next segment because I'll mention this now. I didn't really do anything on like day two. I mainly just used that as my day to like buy more stuff, like sit down and watch a lot more top 24s, top sixes, day two or like round twos of pools and everything. That was more just like my day to like just take in the entire experience and like sit down and watch stuff and buy things. But I guess I'll mention that like in the day two segment about like my issues with like the actual event itself. So yeah. Oh yeah, I also forgot this is like editing me coming on real quick. I don't know where I'm gonna put this in the episode, but I totally forgot to mention. There's one dude. I don't even know. I don't know his name. I don't know where he was. I don't know what he was playing in. All I know is that on Twitter, right, or X, whatever you want to call it. I'm still gonna call it Twitter. On Twitter, there is someone trying to hide his controller and he hit a jacket over it. It was done in the worst way possible because it just, and I don't want to be crude here or like coarse, whatever, but the way that like it was being hidden, it just looked like he was slapping his shit, and it was so funny, and I was in tears because it didn't even like register to him how it was like it was just it was hilarious. I really I need to like dude, I wish I could talk about it more, but you guys know, we know if you need to find the if you need to find the video, it's there. But like, dog, just know it's okay. Editing me over. I don't know where I'm gonna interject this into the rest of the episode. It's probably gonna break the flow like crazy. But oh well. Oh yeah, and also shout out blind Sven. I totally forgot about that as well, because that's, if you don't know blind Sven, he's a blind Street Fighter player who's been using like the um the blind, like, I don't know what it's like officially called, but he's been basically using like that stuff in order to play fighting games, and he actually played, like, he played really well. I saw some of his stuff. He did really well. Just Evo this year, really good stuff. Like, man, just it's so good. Anyway, back to your regularly scheduled fighting game Follies rant about something, or just whatever segment I talk about next.
Round 2.
Alright, so next up, actually looking back on like how long that recording thing was, jeez man. I knew this was gonna be a long episode, but I did not think I was gonna sit there and talk for almost a full hour. Um, Day two stuff, like I said earlier, I didn't really do anything on day two that wasn't like too crazy. All I did was a lot of like shopping at Artist Alley, really, like once to go get clothes and whatnot, apparel, merch, a lot of posters. When I say I am a Morgan fan, like Morgan Darkstalkers, who I mean I'm a Morgan fan. Got a lot of shirts, like I got a lot of free stuff as well from like playing Project L and Tekken 8, specifically the lanyards, which I think are really cool, and the Fist Meets Face shirt, which is also really sick as well. But mainly I want to use this segment right here to talk about some of the things that like I like don't really I wasn't really a fan of, or I didn't like really agree with in terms of like organization, like just things that sort of grinded my gears, or like sort of like rubbed me the wrong way. So first off, I think this is probably the biggest one that we should, this is like the main one that we should talk about on the chopping block, and that is the, well, actually, I guess I'll like mention that like later on at the end, but right now, the first thing that I like, yeah, we're changing gears. First thing I'm talking about, advertisements. And specifically the advertisements that were there, or and like who's throwing money in Evo's pot, like the most. So Chipotle, the ads that they did, it was like very much hand-fisted, especially since we were getting them for a while. But they were kind of funny. I'm not gonna lie. Like, the I think like the deal that they had was like, if you make it out of your pools, then you get like a free burrito, and then if you make it in the top seven, you get like a free bag, which is so, dude, that is so, it's stupid, but at the same time, that is like by far the funniest thing ever, because imagine you make it out of pools, right? Like, you make it out of pools, you fight for your life, you have by far one of the like best and worst, like the hardest tournament run that could have possibly like ever, like you could have ever had, and it's like it's heavy hitter after like pro player, pro player, pro player, right? And you somehow make it through all of that, and then you go to Chipotle, and there isn't even one on site, which I think is the funniest thing out of all of this. You go to Chipotle, you hand them the ticket. It's like, oh, I don't know what this is for. Here's your free burrito, and then you. Nah, I just think that is hilarious, especially because I'm sort of spoiling things a bit. But in the finals, every time like a Chipotle ad would come on, which there were a lot of Chipotle ads that would come on during the finals for like just the finals for Evo, the crowd would just like erupt in cheer. It was the funniest thing ever, because at first you couldn't really hear them, and then like throughout the games, like the more and more times they saw it, like the more people started to chime in, until like when you get to Street Fighter 6, where like the Chipotle ad plays, and then it's just like crowd cheer. It's almost like an announcement like happened, which is, it was just super funny. So yeah, the Chipotle ads were kind of funny. Like, they're they were hand-fisted a lot, but I'll let it slide because the community eventually sided on their side. You know, people got free food, people got free apparel, they got free bags and everything, so we'll let it rock. What I won't let rock, however, is Crunchyroll, and specifically what my biggest issue with Crunchyroll is the fact that they felt super out of place and that they belong to a different event entirely. So what Crunchyroll did, right? They had like two, or I guess like yeah, yeah, they had like two to three main things, right? They had a shop, they had a Jujutsu Kaisen like station, and they also had like a little rave booth thing, right? And which cool, whatever, that's fine. But the rave booth was, I'm not gonna lie, kind of mid because it was only like anime openings that they were singing and like other EDM stuff. So it was sort of just like noise in the background that would be playing 80% of the time. The Jujutsu Kaisen booth, it was literally just them playing dub clips of. I only went in there once, so I'm only going off of this. But like just going off of this, I'm assuming it was like just only dub clips of like Gojo's domain expansion, and that's it, which is lame. Like, first off, I'm not really a big fan on like anime dubs in general. Like when it's good, it's done really well. But like, dog, you're showing season one clips when the like main hype right now is like season two, which like is just also something that doesn't make sense to me. And it was also done in like this spear bowl thing, which like it sort of resembled like the big spear that's out there in like Vegas. So it's like there could have been so much stuff that was done for it. Like that could have been like actually really well done. And then three, which is probably the thing that they put the most time into, was the shop. And that's it. And then they also had like tiny things, if I'm not mistaken, they had like a subscriber only like vending machine, which is like also come on bro. Like my whole issue with Crunchyroll is the fact that like it feels like it belonged to a completely different event. Like it belonged to like a anime expo or something like that. And that's what I feel like is what possibly happened. They just sort of took all of the stuff that they had from Anime Expo, and then they were like, "Oh, well, we have a thing for Evo, but we don't know what to do here, so let's just like do something there." And then boom, they just did the Evo stuff there, or like they threw the stuff that they had from Anime Expo onto there, and then threw it onto Evo, and like sort of half-assed it, which kind of sucks because even if you wanted to keep it in the realm of Jujutsu Kaisen, right? Like, let's say you still want to keep, like, you absolutely have to keep on the JJK theming. Something else that you could have potentially done that could have brought you guys a lot of, like, stock and really been like, oh, these guys care and actually know what the event is about. Maybe come, like, get Bandai Namco, get Bandai Namco, like, and then potentially get, like, run some demos or, like, a build or something of like Jujutsu Kaisen Curse Clash because that's like Bandai's big anime fighter that like their 3D premiere fighter that they're working on right now. Like I guarantee you, it probably wouldn't have like taken all too like much work to potentially get like a demo or something or like a really bad like build just so that people could like try it and get a understanding of the game right now or like just even do like an announcement and then do what like Arxis did and then have that announcement be like the oh it's here sort of thing and then just springboard off of that because I would have been really excited to see Curse Clash like or I'm really excited to see like what they have in store for Curse Clash and like what the system mechanics and everything is going to be for that. But to not show it off at Evo, like the world renowned fighting game tournament, like it doesn't really make sense. And it also just didn't really feel like Crunchyroll didn't really want to do anything and that they were just sort of like contractually there and then they just wanted to throw together whatever in order to try and make as much money as possible. And the thing that sort of makes me angry about all of this is the fact that at the end of the day, I can't really be mad because it ended up working. I didn't buy anything from the Crunchyroll site, but I saw people who did, and I also saw people who went into the like Jujutsu Kaisen domain expansion Dome Bowl, which I also went into the Jujutsu Kaisen domain expansion Dome Bowl just so I can get like my thoughts on it because I saw it was like oh this is interesting I wonder what this is and then that's it. like, and it was super lame. I honestly, like, granted it was like a 5 to 10 minute thing, but like with how lackluster and boring that 5 to 10 minute thing was, I, no joke, want my 5 to 10 minutes of my life back, because I could have just watched that clip in subbed. Like, I could have watched it in the preferred manner and not in like a super weird dome bowl whilst I was like sitting there with a bunch of other people and like on the floor. It just didn't make sense, dude. Like, it really didn't make sense, man. Like, in the long scheme, or like in the scheme of things. But that's like one of the other like major issues that I had. And then the last one is like sort of the organization of the entire event in general, which, it's nothing crazy. It's just that, like, not not the best of things happened. So basically, oh yeah, actually no, hold up. There's a couple other things that I have here that I should have listed on my notes. Um, oh yeah, PlayStation. PlayStation got a really big like sponsor spot as well, but like I don't really have the need to talk about them because PlayStation and like the FGC have sort of been like unofficial best friends for like a good while now. They like to sponsor us in the form of either prize money or or not venue spots, prize money, like controllers, consoles, like stuff to keep the overall scene and everything afloat, which is always good. So I can't really, just the fact that they actually have their name like written on the paper this time around is good for them. I can't really knock PlayStation. They're good. Chipotle, good. PlayStation, good. Overall, oh yeah, and the movie ads as well, which like there is the Gran Turismo movie, like they were super hard promoting that, which I really didn't understand why, because once again, fighting game community. I'm sorry, but like Gran Turismo is not a part of the FGC, bro. Like, I would like for like my mashed potatoes to not touch my corn, like separate it. Dude, I understand it's in the same vein. Oh, video games, like yeah, we're relating to the younger generation, but like no, there's something completely different. Like, I understand how that can be a good idea in like the corporate sense, but I guarantee you it's not, because with the amount of times that we saw that ad pop up, it just makes me not want to go watch the movie, because it genuinely does seem really interesting, but the fact that like it's being hand fisted down my throat because, oh, look at this guy, he played video games and now he's doing the real thing. Cool, good for him. I don't need to see that same trailer 14 different times or hear it playing out in the venue like all around me whilst everything else is like on play or all like not doing anything. So yeah, that was just weird. Overall, though, the ads took up a bunch of space that sort of ruined the pacing for like the event itself, which kind of like blows, because I would have really liked if like there was just a tiny bit more effort placed into it, or like for some parts. I'm looking at you, Crunchyroll, but these things are needed in order to keep the overall event and everything afloat, because if it wasn't for the ads, then there wouldn't be any way that this thing could have happened off the community effort alone. Outside of the fact that it could have happened off a community effort alone, it just would have been a lot more pricier, which I can't really complain about. I got my ticket to Evo for like $100. I mainly had to focus on like travel and everything. So, and even then, that's because I didn't really do things that was booked in with Evo. I brought the travel stuff and like the hotel, separate from that. So I could have saved out, or I could have saved like way more, but I wanted to be stupid. So I can't really complain on that. That's really all that I have to say for that. Like in terms of like the advertisements and everything. Now on to like the main issue of like the organization thing that I like briefly talked about. So day one, right? Or like not even day one, like day not even like in the weekend, but as we're coming up to Evo, like this is like past me. As we're coming up to Evo, I'm religiously checking my email. I'm making sure like I have everything set in order to make sure that like nothing goes wrong like whilst we're there. Cause despite having family up there, the number one thing that I do not want to happen is that I get stranded out in Vegas with my sister for 3 days straight, and then I have to like no. I came in with a plan. I wanted that plan to be executed flawlessly, and I wanted to do something. I set out to do said something. I paid money to make sure like it all went well. So I was checking religiously to make sure I have everything in order, to make sure like I'm registered, like to make sure like she's registered, has her badge that I brought for her, so we're all good. We're all fine, dandy. I don't get any emails. I don't get anything extra. All I get is the receipt that I brought for when I initially brought the tickets back in the early bird period, which I favorited, made sure that I have on like quick, easy access, like as soon as I needed to, right? Boom, get there, get to the event, day one. Dude comes up, I'm like about to go grab my bags. I'm taking pictures of like the event space and everything, like out in the open hallway. Go over to the event space, get in line. Some dude is asking for QR codes. I and a lot of other people are very confused because we didn't get any QR codes. We didn't get any like QR we didn't get anything. All we had were the receipts to like when we actually brought the tickets. And some people did get the QR codes, other people didn't, which is very weird because I don't know why it would like pick and choose who got the like other QR code stuff. And I go and ask the guy, I'm like, yo, would it be sent in a different email? And then he's like, oh yeah, it's in a different email. Check da 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 da. I check there, no results. Like in my emails, I'm like, okay, that's weird. Try and check it again, see if I'm like using every sort of spelling to make sure it's right. Don't see it. Okay, that's a tiny bit settling. Same dude right next to me does the same thing. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's a bit unsettling. Thankfully, we have the receipts. They let us go through there. We get our stuff like through that. But just the fact that there are some people that didn't get the QR code that was supposed to be sent out to everybody, and then there are other people that had to use the receipts that I don't think anybody's going to go like the long way of like forging a receipt or anything for like Evo, because that seems very stupid, especially since like in order to do that you would have to buy or like somehow get like the rest of the forged items, like for example the forged Evo badge and everything. But I digress. My whole issue is just the fact of like the hundreds of like thousands of people are here, and there isn't really like a thing of consistency because some people had the QR code, other people don't. And I registered during the early bird period. To give you like to put that into perspective, I registered like one as soon as Evo like dropped. So I think like around, I don't even know what the time frame. I could like check the email right now and actually see, but like actually, no, that's way too much work. I don't really feel like doing all of that just to prove my point. But I registered in the early bird period. Actually, no, right? No, 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 no. Let's see right here. Boom. Register. You're registered for Evo 2023. I lied. I found it. Right. I did that early bird events, Guilty Gear Strive, which they couldn't even find me for Strive, which I'm kind of pissed about. But once again, fine. I don't really care. I feel like it was better that way. But I did this, or I got this email August, or not August, well, April 4th, right? Boom. Early bird period. April, May, June, July, August. That's 4 months in advance. 4 months in advance, and I did not get that QR code email at all, and I was scrubbing through my emails religiously to make sure I did not miss anything. And me and a bunch of other people went through that same thing of not getting that QR code email. That's a bit scuffed, I'm not gonna lie. Thankfully, it wasn't anything like super serious, but at the same time, it could have been something way bigger. It could have been. Thankfully, I'm just glad that it wasn't as bad as it could have potentially been, because then that's when you start like getting into the fact of like people lose money. So I'm glad that it was like a small thing and that it could have been resolved with just having the receipt. But oh well. Thankfully nobody's got scuffed over. If they did get scuffed over, then there would be no end to it. So I'm glad that it didn't really come to that. And I'm glad that like my grievances and like the gripes that I had with Evo stayed at a relative minimum, and it wasn't even really the event's fault that some of these things happened. Obviously, the advertisement stuff that I can't really blame it on them. The organization stuff, yeah, I can start throwing like coins in their pot for screwing up a tiny bit, but with an event this large, like I wouldn't be surprised, especially since this is the largest Evo that has been held like ever. But before I talk about that, I should probably start talking, or I should actually talk about like the finals and what we actually got to eventually get to that point of it being called the largest Evo like in the history of Evo.
Round 3.
Alright, now that we done talking about day 1 and 2, we should probably start talking about day 3, aka finals. And I can't really talk about finals like that because, blunder number 3, I didn't buy a ticket for finals. Like a stupid, dumb idiot. I didn't buy a ticket for finals, and even then, it wouldn't have really worked out because, midway through, the finals run, that's actually when my plane, was coming back home. So, like, in the middle of the the finals Street Fighter set, like Meta RD versus Angry Bird, I actually had to like head to the airport so I can go get on my plane, which kind of blows. Thankfully I did get to see it play out, but I couldn't really like watch it play out because like airport internet service really laggy and bad. So like as I was watching it, all of my friends were like a good like 10 minutes ahead of me, and they were like updating me as I went along. So shout out to the gang for doing that for me. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me actually start talking about some of the things. Like, let me just start talking about like everything about it in general, right? And this is also gonna like sort of be like my overview segment, and talk about like all of the other things that I probably would have done differently. If I or when I will eventually go back next year, and just like any other like things that I missed out on or wanted to talk about. So first off, the opening songs for Evo, all of them are super sick. I'm gonna be a tiny bit biased here, but Street Fighter 6, the one that they had for that, Run Back City, I think was really good, especially with all of the small little tiny references and everything that they had in it. Like, I know there's one line where it's like screaming, "Let's go, Justin," like that. Every time there's a comeback, or not every time that there's a callback to that moment, like I always just like get like I feel all nice and good, because like I said earlier, like when I was talking about the picture that I took with Daigo, Evo Moment 37 is my start to the fighting game community. That's like where I initially got introduced to it. Third Strike is when I really did start becoming like a fighting game player. So it's always nice to like sort of see a callback to the origin point, especially since that is like probably one of the most important moments in fighting game history ever. And I really, really, really do think if Evo Moment 37 did not happen, fighting games as a whole would not. It would be drastically different as like a medium. I think it would be like completely changed. It'd be like I wonder what the bizarre world of like fighting games would be if Justin, or not Justin, if Daigo like did not parry that super. 'Cause that I don't think I want to live in a world like that. Um, but yeah, Run Back City was a really good track. All of them were just all really good. The Marvel one as well was also pretty solid. But speaking about Marvel, I love Zero May Cry. Man, don't you just love mirror matches in your top finals, because top characters are all that people really want to play because they consistently bring results. Because I do too. I love I love top players playing the same characters over and over again. It's like they know what they're gonna do because they know exactly what the tools and the moveset of their opponent is going to be, because they have like the same moves and everything, and it blows. It's super, bruh. Sadly, no Marvel vs. Capcom 4. I'm low-key kind of molding, but that's fine. I know that's not gonna happen anytime soon, especially while Disney has that iron grip on the MCU. Honestly, I'm not going to lie. I'd rather not see a MVC4 with Disney at the helm, because I feel like we started to slowly get a taste of that, and that's what MVCI would like sort of be. I feel like if we did realistically get a Marvel vs. Capcom 4 or an Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 4, it would sort of just be like another repeat of Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, but like infinitely times like worse because this would have been like their second time trying to do it. They could have learned from their mistakes, but honestly, knowing corporate Marvel. And like specifically corporate Disney, they did not learn from their mistakes and would do the exact same thing over and over again because they know that people will eat it up. So I don't want to see them like make a Marvel game whilst they're off the helm. And I know that's not going to like the day Marvel is somehow brought out by a company bigger than Disney, or is the day that I legitimately think that all hell breaks loose. Because if Marvel gets brought out by another company and it's no longer under the realms or the helms of Disney, I feel like the entire landscape is going to change drastically. But that's neither here nor there. I'm not a movie reviewer, I'm a fighting game guy. So, no MVC4, nothing really crazy. Plus, I'm not really that big of a fan on team-based fighters to begin with. So yeah, I don't really care. Skipping ahead, I didn't watch KOF. I didn't watch KOF. I didn't watch Melty. I don't really care all too much about or Mortal Kombat. I didn't really care all too much about those games at all because I don't play them. I was super interested in Melty, but I never I didn't get into it when it first dropped, and now I feel like I'm way too late into it. So I feel like it would just be better if I were to wait until either a new Melty game drops or like a new Sukehime game drops for French Bread. That way I can try and get into it with the rest of the crew. But or I'll just try and like I said earlier, piggyback on Under Night in Birth System Celeste because I'm most definitely going to be playing that game and I'm probably going to put a lot more stock into that because Eltum's in there. So and I'm not going to be playing Eltum, but oh well, my point still stands. Specifically talking more about top players and everything. I don't like Leffen. I really I'm not a fan of Leffen. I haven't been a fan of Leffen since like the Melee days because I did also used to play like competitive Smash. I didn't play competitive Melee, but just like as someone who is like relatively big in the or not even relatively big, but like someone who's like who knows their way around like the Smash community and everything. I don't like Leffen all too much. Mostly because he's like a big tier whore, and I don't really like him all too much because like any other game or like no, just any game that he plays, it's like top tier. I need to play a top tier, and then boom, he plays a top tier. He gets consistently good with, or obviously he gets good with the top tier, and then he sort of takes over that game's landscape. And that is probably the one thing that like I really don't want to happen to anime fighters or like just like fighting games in general right now. Because like I feel like one of the things that are like the beauty about fighting games is that there's never really someone who can be defined as like a top player or not a top player per se, but like the best player, right? Like for example, Daigo has gotten perfected by Pongo, right? Like even the mighty Daigo has fallen like on a couple of like different occasions. That still does not like discredit like his importance to the community in general. It's just like there's never like truly the biggest fish out there. There's like even like Tekken God Ni, right? He was dethroned by Arslan Ash, right? So like there's nobody who's like truly at like the top, like the peak, the peakiest peak of their peak, because even Arsenal Ash has lost games as well. Like, if there's a best player, chances are that best player like has been taken out or thrown into losers or completely knocked out of a tournament by someone, and then that other person has been knocked out of a tournament by somebody else. That's the beauty of it. That's like so long as you have talent and you think that you're good, anybody can compete. Like so that yeah, but my main thing with Leffen is because he just did this recently, or I don't know how recently, but I remember hearing him do this. Dude took three like alt accounts. He took his main account and he took two alt accounts onto the melee competitive ladder, and then all got them to first, second, and third place. And he did that as a show to try and bring the melee community to bigger heights, which I can sort of understand the philosophy and idea behind it, but I feel like something like that could have gone at like a way it could have gone like way differently. Like cuz his whole goal was like, "Oh, I want to make a competitive stride in the community by showing them that, oh, hey, you guys are lacking. I think that you aren't putting in as like enough work as should be put into, right? Like, which is admirable. I can respect that. But like him taking three separate accounts and then climbing the ladder with all of them and then getting the top spot with all three of them, I feel like that's sort of where the line needs to be drawn there, because it's like at that point you're just doing it to sort of show off, and even then you're not even really showing off because you're still doing it with like top tier characters. So you're not really accomplishing anything but just sort of showing off that like, okay, cool, these characters are like good. They're good. They're strong characters for a reason. So I don't really see what the like overall goal is. I can see that like you want to show, oh yeah, like there needs to be a change, but I feel like doing it with only top tier characters like vastly undermines the overall skill that was actually put into it, because you're doing it with a character that has shown consistent work and has shown throughout like Melee's entire lifespan of like I think like what 20ish years, I think. Like I know Melee's old, like 15 to 20 years that like these characters are good. And that's essentially what he did here in Guilty Gear Strive. And also I just don't really like him like winning Guilty Gear Strive right now, because like, okay, we all know Happy Chaos is a menace. We know Happy Chaos is not a fun character to play against. We know it's like stupid. Okay, we can all agree on that. Umisho is a good player. I can respect her, right? I don't like, she's cool. I don't respect the fact that, she used to play Happy Chaos, but, we gonna look over that because she's still, at the end of the day, really cool chick. I think she, like, has a deeper understanding of the game, deeper than anybody, and is still overall, like, a really solid player, right? Like, we can just put that all on the baseline. She wins Guilty Gear Strive at Evo twice, right? That's admirable. That's really sweet. Like that, or like that, dude. I'd kill to just get the chance to be like in top 8, right? Much less like just win both of them. So okay, cool. She plays Happy Chaos. Both of those times, like before or as she was taking like those two evos, Leffen is playing Zato. Consistently loses, right? Okay, that blow lower, like he's getting like the like lower to mid tier placements. He's not placing like the top like stuff. Umisho swaps off a Happy Chaos for this Evo, right? Because she starts learning Soul. She makes top 3. Gives her stick to Daru Ino, which by the way was like that was such an incredibly kind gesture. Like once again, another thing that like goes to show of like how sweet of a person she is. But she gives her or no, she swaps off Soul, or she swaps off Happy Chaos, starts playing Soul, and Leffen plays Happy Chaos, takes his first Evo. I understand, like, going back to it, you're showing that this character has like it or is consistently strong and everything, but like we've already seen that. Like we've already seen twice already, like just by going off of Umisho's standings, that Happy Chaos is a very strong character. And I feel like that's partly the reason why she also swapped off of Soul. She did say like initially that she like wanted to learn other characters and stuff. So I can understand why that, and then like just Soul just happened to be like the pick that she ended up sticking with for this time around. But we've already seen Happy Chaos can be a consistent high tier character, and it's like I just can't respect the fact that like it took him swapping to another high tier in order to, get his first Evo. I understand he puts in a lot of work, and this might just sound like me being salty because, like, oh yeah, top tier character, like one at their game that in which they are a top tier in, right? But fundamentally speaking, I just feel I'm not like really a fan of when a top tier wins a game, even if it's a character that I myself play. Like for example, I don't, if Leffen had played Ram and then still won the thing, I don't really I wouldn't have been all too much fond of that either. despite being a Ram player, and despite being happy that she's getting, like she might potentially be getting buffed, she's getting the new move and everything. I like I still wouldn't have been happy about that because we already know from like players like Zondo that Ramithal is a consistently good character. She is a very good character. We know that characters like Nagoriyuki consistently good, but it's the people like Gobu, right? Who plays Gold Lewis, who a lot of people um like when he initially dropped and still like talk about like now think that he's bad and then they make him work. Like it's people like Gobu that I respect because you can show that they're actively like fighting harder than the top tier picks, than the Nagoriyukis, the Zatos, the Milias. Like I don't. Plus, it might just also be like a tiny bit of underdog bias, but still, I don't care. I don't like Leffen. And the end of discussion. I don't like Leffen. I think it was hilarious when they did the crowd sweep to show like what the crowd thought. Nobody was cheering for him. I laughed when I saw that. Like I was straight like wheezing when I saw that. And I was talking with one of my friends who I also got the chance to meet at Evo, and she was also very happy that nobody was like cheering for him. And I don't want to make this come off as like genuine hate for Leffen, like, oh, I hate Leffen's guts. No, I just don't want to see only top tiers dead at like, you know, be the only characters that we are exposed to at a top tier level. Like I get it, obviously the top tier like players are gonna play top tier characters, but I'd rather like to see like a little bit of character variety, whether that be like because changes have to be made in the system itself, or a new character that we, or not a new character but a new player that we haven't heard of like is able to make change with a character and then change something from that. Like I don't know, I just know that I want to see some sort of shake up. I want to see like the barrel shake a tiny bit. I want to like taste a new flavor in my Guilty Gear game. And also the fact that the game's netcode needs to be fixed because Hackerman is coming back. Season 3 is on the horizon. Drop on the 24th, which like come on man. Arxis, we need to get that situated. We need to fix that. We need to get everything smooth because we need come on. We need to fix that. But yeah, Leffen, congratulations for winning your Evo, whatever, man. Like you deserve it. Go shout outs to him. Um, Meta RD versus Angry Bird, and just the entirety of Street Fighter 6, like top six, crazy, like banger after banger after banger after banger. Everything about Street Fighter 6's run in Evo was just, it was mwah, beautiful, chef's kiss. I can't, I literally, if I try and say anything else about it, I feel like I'd be disrespecting it because it was just that good. Everything about Street Fighter 6 in this game, especially for it being like its second major tournament, it was amazing, dude. Like some standout things like to talk about specifically is like there's one clip, I forget the player's name, but it was the JP player and he was playing against Angry Bird, and then something happened that should not have happened that let Angry Bird win and then go to winners finals, which I think is hilarious because people immediately started labbing out what the issue was. And then I think it was like a super rare thing that like only happens like in a very specific scenario if you don't do like a certain move or pickup. I don't remember it in its entirety. All I just know is that it was very rare to do and it was very funny. So there's that. Men RD like in their finals. Actually no. Let me not even talk about that because Men RD, that that man, he yo every like in between sets, he would look at his phone and then he had the script downloaded. He was reading how the script was going to play out. That man had the golden scroll. And I mean, if you don't know what the golden scroll is, right? He had the golden scroll from Kung Fu Panda. Because every time he'd look at that phone, I promise you, I'd see his reflection in that gold paper. And it was like, Gambare, you can do it. Like, do your best. That was mad cringe. I'm fucking. I'm sorry, man. Oh, but no. Every time, dude, Men already had the script. He straight up had the script. And then another thing that I just thought was like really cool was what first, oh my god, another thing, as I'm remembering it, I'm just like remembering about all of the stuff that is happening. First off, shout out to Sajam, and shout out to Yipes once again off commentary. Bro, oh my god, you guys already know how I feel about Yipes. I love Yipes as a commentator. That man is amazing. I I I'm low-key kind of sad I didn't get the chance to take a picture with him, cuz like I saw him and one other person. I know it wasn't C4. There was another person that he was commentating with whilst he was doing Menardi versus Hotashi's first to 10 set, like on day one, which I sat in and I watched a tiny bit of, which I didn't see the entire thing. I know Menardi 110-6 though, so yeah, that's cool. I haven't even seen if there's any VODs for it. You might be able to hear me hollering and clamoring in the background. I don't like I might have to go and check that later. That's like probably one of the things I haven't gotten the chance to actually hold on, let me check Menardi versus Hatashi. And then let me see if I can find the first to 10. Daigo, nah, this is 20. Yeah. And also just the fact of like Hungrybox was there also, which I was not like ready for, cuz like he was like making like he was talking, which is like crazy, and apparently he was on grounds. So yeah, I was not ready for that. But I need to find that Minardi versus Satoshi picture, or not picture, that set, and then see if there's anywhere that I can find posted for that. But dude, he won 10-6 to that. And then he won it again because Hitachi was on like his killing spree with the modern controls Chung Li. I promise you, the Japanese are on something completely different with that. Like I don't know what's going on in their brains, but whatever is happening, it's working. Because he was modern controls Chun Li and he was making it work. He was consistently making it work, which is crazy. Punk went undefeated until he didn't go undefeated, which actually like sucks, cause I had to, like, as I was sitting there watching it, right? I was watching it with I was watching it with my friends. I brought them a bunch of stuff like before I left, and I was like, oh, I really want either Punk or Mena RD to really win so that I can say like, oh bro, I gotta or I had the chance to take a picture with an Evo champion, and then like do like the wedding thing where like they take a picture, or not, like they throw the bouquet of flowers and then like whoever grabs it is the next one to get married. I think that's how that works. um but I really wanted to be like, yo, I got to take a picture with a Evo champion, and Punk lost to Mena RD. But honestly, I wouldn't have had it any other way. Like, I'm not even gonna lie, cause those two guys I really do respect a lot. I really do feel like they're going to be the faces of the new wave in terms of the FGC, and honestly, I'm all for it. So yeah, and then Mena RD versus Angry Bird. Whoo, that stuff was insane. Like, just once again, that gold paper. He had everything out. He had everything on lock. That man was fighting, and then he got the bracket reset. And then I know in one of the sets, like before the game even started, his controller disconnected. Which, for those who don't know, that would have automatically been a game for Angry Bird. Like they wouldn't even had to play it out. That would have just automatically have been a game for Angry Bird. But they still decided to play it out too, and then I think Angry Bird won either way, so it didn't even matter. But they still decided to play it out, which I think is really good. That's a really good sign of sportsmanship, which I am a really big fan of. Mostly because it's like stuff like that does happen. Like, we do have rules in place for it, and like thankfully it wasn't like in the middle of a combo or something, but it was still like at the start of a game, and they just decided to play it through. But I just really I love stuff like that. But yeah, Menard versus Angry Bird. Angry Bird, he took it, so congrats to him. I'm just kind of annoyed because now I have to like play through a bunch of Kens and everything throughout ranked, even though he was already like a super popular character. And then him winning Evo is just like, oh, more Kens, yeah, more Ken. So I have fun like thrashing all of the Kens and like platinum 1 and 2 because I don't some of them are just not thinking, but I'm getting off track. Evo Day. Evo Day, August 6th. That's cool. Like the governor of Las Vegas, Nevada, came up and started congratulating the Cannon brothers. Tony, like he started congratulating them. Actually, let me actually, because I always forget the other, and this is like super just spec like hold up, founders of Evo. This is super disrespect. Yeah, Tony and Tom. Okay, I knew it was another T. I just couldn't remember like what the other T was. But um, the governor of Evo, he came up. He congratulated the Cannon brothers for running Evo and having this be like the biggest Evo that they've ever ran, which is kind of crazy. So that's something that was like really good. Uh, so yeah, made August 6th Evo Day, which immediately afterwards the brothers were like, all right, thank you for that. And he also gave them the key to like the Las Vegas Strip as well, which is also another wild thing. But on top of awarding Evo Day as August 6th in Vegas, he also was like, all right, cool. Thanks for that, man. We're gonna move the next Evo venue. Still gonna have it in Vegas. Still gonna have it at the Mandalay, but we are going to have it in July. Pwomp, 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 pwomp. If I'm not mistaken, I think the date is like July 24th to the 26th, right? I have it written down here. Um, yeah. Or actually, no, 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 July 26th to the 28th. And then there's also a third Evo venue that we need to stay tuned for as well. Because Evo Japan is happening April 27th to the 29th, and then Evo 2024 is gonna happen July 26th to the 28th. Hopefully that gets moved to like the first week in August again, because I'm not even gonna lie, I do kind of like those dates. Like, I don't know if it was just the weather in this time specifically, but it was very nice. It was very like not too hot, not too cold. If I needed something to cool down, I would have just grabbed a drink. I like overall it was survivable. Like especially when all of the other times I'd be in Vegas, like I can stay in that heat for like a good like few days. Um, but yeah, Evo Day, August 6th. It's now a thing in Vegas. I feel like and this is just me talking. I feel like we as a collective should do something on August 6th. I don't know if it has to be like a tournament thing or like a like YouTuber thing or like something, but I feel like we as a community need to schedule and do something on that day, cuz I feel like with the impact that Evo has had on us as a community, I feel like we need to do something to like give respect and like breed back into it, or like breathe back into it. So I don't know if like I don't know who I should talk to about that. Tony, Tom, y'all wanna hit me up? We can start brainstorming some stuff. I say we have everybody like do like a small little like video essay on like what their favorite fighting game is for the year, or like whatever comes out, or like why they love like X character, and it just all be due like August 6th, and then we just have like an influx of like fighting game content stuff on YouTube. Or like, hey, YouTube, even then specifically make like a fighting game like creator showdown like segment for that on that day, and then like have it be like a showcase. Once it like, yo, if y'all want to start talking to me, hit me up. The socials in the description down below. We can get to moving, doing some things. But yeah, what else should I mention here? Oh yeah, all of the reviews actually. Um, Oh yeah, they also actually before I even start talking about the reveals, they also I said earlier they got the key to the strip as well as they were also awarded as being Guinness's World Record for the biggest esports event ever held, and this is something that I sort of like. This is one of the things where it's like a technicality that sort of grinded my gears the wrong way because I don't really like the FGC being or like just fighting games in general and all of the stuff that we do being called an esport more because in the root and the heart of everything, we as a community has we have always been like sort of rooted in grassroots. We've always been rooted in like locals and then doing stuff on a smaller scale and then that smaller scale eventually builds up to like bigger things, but we still keep everything at the heart of like the small people, the community. That's why like things like Evo and CEO and like for like other majors and everything happen. It's all okay. Here's a tournament. Here's side tournaments. Here's an artist alley, right? Like we all, it's all a collective thing, and then we all. It's like an all-inclusive thing. Nobody's excluded. If you have a controller, $20, and a game that you like to play, welcome aboard. You're now one of us. You're in for life. The boom, right? Esports is something very different because if you want to get to like a like high level okay, real quick, let's just compare the high level like how to get into a high level state for an esport as opposed to getting into a high level state for the FGC. If you want to go into like the higher levels for like an esport, you have to go through like invitationals, and then you have to get signed by a team, and then that team has to have a contract, and you have to play through a bunch of different leagues, and then you have to be recognized through all of those different leagues and everything, and then all of that, you gotta like just do. It's a process and everything that needs to be done, but in the FGC, it's like oh, you got a controller, you got a game, you got a like, is it being streamed? Is it popular? Good, boom, and then you just keep playing that game. You just keep like building it up like that. So that's what I like about the FGC. We're very much inclusive. We very much like what we're doing, or we very much are rooted in grassroots, and we like the small community. So I don't really like esports and the FGC being called like something together. We need to separate it. Let corporate do its thing. We over here, we cool. We living in our Renaissance era. Esports dying. We don't want to be like called anything like close to that. But yeah. Anyway, let's get on to the announcements and everything that we got. Yasuo, Project L, like I already mentioned. Red Tile, Ashura, and Havoc for Mortal Kombat 1. I'm snoozing. I don't really care for it. They were kind of cool, but my main thing like that I actually really do like about Reptile and specifically about the trailer that they actually did is that Sajam came on and he did. If you don't know Sajam has a show on YouTube called Will It Kill, and it showcases off like fighting game combos, and it's basically like a guess for game. It asks like, oh, will this combo like kill like the inflicted character or not? It's very fun. If you haven't had the chance to like be a part of it, you should. I think it's a lot of fun. Um, but what I find really cool is like Sajam does the will it kill on Evo. I went I think like 0 and 2 or no I went like I did not go 0 2. I think I went like 4. I either went 4-1 or 4-2. I think 4-1 though. But he does the will it kill on stage. Everybody's hyped, and then Ed Boon comes out, and then he's like, oh, or not Ed Boon. It's another Mortal Kombat developer. He comes out. And it's like, oh, do you guys want to see some more reptile stuff? And then boom, we get the trailer like that. It was really well done. It was really cool. Raven and a new character that I don't know how to. She's Peruvian, but a new character for Tekken 8 called Azucena. I'm gonna call her the Coffee Queen. I think that's how you pronounce her name, Azucena. But Raven and Azucena they dropped for Tekken 8, so more characters. We up. Tekken 8 looking very good. Johnny Season 3. Johnny, hey, Johnny from Guilty Gear, Johnny from the Jellyfish Pirates. Probably one of the more requested characters in Guilty Gear Strive. We got him. He's in Guilty Gear Strive Season 3. We getting all new battle mechanics on top and new special moves for characters as well. So it'll come in August 24th. We up. However, until we can get them Hacker Man problems fixed, we are not up. Fatal Fury, City of Wolves. It's just the fact that it exists, which is something good. We got an Aki World Tour drop, which is something nice, as well as like a little free comic to go along with her. I still think she's gonna be a mix of like Fang and Vega, like because of the claw and everything. She drops in autumn. We've already known this, but nothing crazy. We'll have to wait more and see for her to like actually get anything like wild. And then Alex Lee, he sung the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles theme song because there's a crossover for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cross Street Fighter. However, the TMNT crossover is $15 per costume. Um, yeah, no, you guys can keep that. And overall, this is probably like the last thing that I'm gonna talk about, and that's the fact that like I was just vastly under prepped for Evo in its entirety. Like I said earlier on, like when I was talking about day one, um, I did not know what I was going to be getting myself into when I like came here. I woke up, I was like I was fine, but like I got into my hotel at 1 in the morning. I woke up at 8 in the morning. I was out for the entire day, I think until like 7 or 8. I didn't get back into the hotel, and then I didn't eat anything for that entire day. I barely drank any water. Like I was running on like fumes, and I didn't even realize it. So like I'm gonna prep a lot more. I have like a plan now. I'm gonna actually go with like the group of people that I was talking about earlier as well. I'm gonna also try and see if I can get like more people that I know to go with me, because another thing that kind of blew was like linking with like people is fun, and I like having people in the fighting game community who knows what I'm talking about and that I like know. I did have a couple people and I met some new people, but like it's very hard for me to like talk to new people if I don't know them, especially if I'm there for like something strictly like business related or something. So like for example, taking a picture with cosplayers, which by the way, shout out to all the cosplayers. I don't think I'm weird, but like I really don't like bothering people, even if their entire thing is for them to be bothered. So I'll just like sit there and I'll be like, oh damn, I really want to get a picture with like that person, or oh man, he has a really good Luke cosplay, I want to get a picture with him, or oh bro, her biking cosplay is like super sick, I want to get a picture of that, she put a lot of detail into like the hair and everything. But I just like I freeze up. I'm not even gonna lie. It's like chat. I freeze up when it comes to like talking to people. So I want to try and get like some people that I do know, or like that I do talk to on like not even like a regular basis, but just like I talk to like about stuff, or like just in the fighting game community, and maybe like try and get them up next year for Evo. But when that eventually passes, we'll come back. We'll talk more. Because when that new Evo drop, when that Evo 24, when this beat drop, like it's over. And now since I think I'm kind of glad that I didn't compete in this one, because now I know what I'm getting myself into. So please be on the lookout. Don't let me in my zone, because when I'm in my zone, like I'm going bone. I don't even know what that's supposed to mean, but it's supposed to mean something. Anyway, I'm gonna probably call it there for today's episode of the Fighting Game Follies. I don't even think I said the episode title, or not the episode title, the episode number. I think we're on like episode 23, 24. I think like 23. I don't know. I don't really know. I don't really care. I just wanted to talk about Evo. This episode is super long. This is probably gonna be like a 2 hour long episode, and honestly, I'm fine with that. Like when you get an experience that's as like world changing and like view altering as Evo, I really do just want to try and get as many things I could possibly think of like out and about, and I want to talk about it a lot. You guys know everything. You have the socials and whatnot down in the description below. Please feel free to like message me if you have something like that you want to say about the podcast. If you have any like tips, tricks, or like pointers or anything that you have, or like you want to slide my way, I really would appreciate it. Um, Literally, someone I think like on either day one or day two, I woke up and someone messaged me. And was like, "Oh, hey, I don't want to like be a bother, but I've been listening to the podcast. I'm new to the like fighting game community, and yeah, man, it was just heartwarming, bro. So yeah, shout out to that person who sent me that message. It really did like mean a lot to me, especially because like sometimes it does sort of like I do lose motivation mostly because like I don't like editing or like doing the like super boring stuff. So it's like, oh man, I wonder if I like even want to do something like really big for this or not, or like if I want to do anything at all. And then it's just like people like that are sort of the reason like why I keep going, or just like being able to like say that I can still do it, or just like the fact that I did it in general, only like to I just like having my mark. I want to put like I like having my mark be this podcast, even if like only a small select group of people like listen to it. But still, it really does mean a lot to me. Like your comments mean a lot. So please don't like. I know I just went on that little like mini tangent about like how I can't approach people, but like when I say please approach me and like talk to me if you have like any tips or anything, or like just if you want to talk about like why like I don't know, like RAM 6.8 shouldn't be like +6, or like just anything stupid about like your game, or maybe even try and like indoctrinate me into like your fighting game or something, then like please go ahead, do so. I really would appreciate it. Like the more knowledge and the more info that I get on other fighting games that I don't necessarily play, or just like other things that like I might have missed, or like someone calls me out or something on like if I get something wrong, then like I'm 100% fine with that, bro. Cuz like at the end of the day, this is a podcast for like lower tier people, or not even, no, I don't want to say lower tier people, but like people who are more like newer to the fighting games. And even though I'm more of an intermediate player myself, I still do mess up. I still do get like some facts wrong. I still do slip up every here and there. But like I said earlier, with like the thing with Daigo getting perfected by Pongo, or like Ni losing to Arslan, like those losses or like our defeats don't necessarily define us. So yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. I just talk to like if you can like throw a message my way, or like I might not respond because frankly I don't know how to respond to stuff like that, but like just like know that I see it, and I really do appreciate it for like you guys to muster up the courage and say that to me, because I know that it takes a lot. Um, but yeah, that's really it. I want to read more of the Will to Keep on Winning, mostly because like some of the stuff that I'm still like relatively early on into the book, but the stuff that Daigo talks about in it so far has been like resonating with me a lot. So you guys might see a review on the Will to Keep on Winning eventually. So be on the lookout for that. That might take like maybe 1 to 3 weeks. On top of like this Evo video that I'm talking about as well. So be on the lookout for that. Be on the lookout for other stuff. We are not slowing down. If anything, this made me want to crank it to 11, because with Evo being over and seeing the heights that the FGC like has come just for something like this, I really do think like this community is unstoppable, and this is probably the best thing that I could possibly spend my time on. And so yeah, that got super like poetic, but oh well. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, it's your boy Griff for Games, Ziggy Skyward Games.png, specifically Griff for Games because that's what it says on that badge, baby. Evo, boom. I'm hanging that up. And I guess I'll just see you on the next one. Yeah, that's all. Peace. Stay safe. Play fighting games. Keep doing your thing, and know that EXDP is a super scrubby option.